Well, Megan, thank you. I know there was times yesterday where you're like, whoa, is everything okay after that gust? I mean, we had significant winds, 50, 55 miles per hour, of course, not associated with a thunderstorm. And tonight, we're going to have to contend with wind gusts that could be even stronger than that associated with rain and the thunderstorm activity. So I know it's been a wild ride. It's been very active. We're in this pattern for another day or so, and it's all thanks to this big storm system, a cold front that is finally pushing closer to our area here in the Central Plains. Once it moves through, our weather calms down for a short period of time. Now, cold front this morning moving across Omaha at the moment, central Kansas. Look at the temperature difference ahead of and behind this front. Another telling sign of that severe weather potential. We're in the 70s ahead of it, 30s and 40s behind it. Very significant change. So this tells us there's a lot of instability along that front and a lot of power that these storms could have this evening. Now, wind gusts this morning still ahead of the front, continue in that 35 mile per hour range. Not as strong as they were this time yesterday morning, and I think we're going to consistently sit somewhere in that 35 mile per hour range. So still strong. There's still going to be moments where the trees are really going crazy. You might hear your house creaking or cracking a little bit, but I think that we are going to notice a big improvement before thunderstorms get here. The wind advisory does expire here in about an hour and a half. Now, temperatures this afternoon holding steady. The cloud cover will keep our numbers in the mid, maybe for some upper 70s before thunderstorms roll through. There's a very small chance we get storms between 2 to 4 p.m., 2 to 5 p.m., but I really think our opportunity of the severe weather is going to ramp up after 5 or 6 o'clock. And that's our window I need you to pay most attention to. 6 p.m. to midnight, severe storms are likely, and we are in a rare enhanced risk, threat level 3 out of 5 here in orange, very rare for this time of year. So that's why it needs to be taken seriously. Damaging wind gusts associated with the line of storms, but also a few embedded tornadoes. They're likely small, they're likely brief, but something that we need to pay attention to. So here we are at 4 p.m. There might be a couple of these cells that pop up ahead of the front. We have to watch these. They're definitely important. If this was a setup in March or April, May, these would be really severe, but I don't see that at the moment. They're a little weak. They're not in the perfect kind of regime. There's not enough lift for them, so I don't think they're going to maintain strength. What we will be following is how this line sets up. This is 7 p.m. You see how they're starting off very individualized, very discrete. That's where the tornadoes come into play. Eventually, they form into a line by about 9 or 10 p.m. They slide through Kansas City, and at that moment, damaging winds turn into a huge problem. You see how this line is bowing out here? That would be 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. And of course, within there too, there could be an embedded tornado. So that's why this is very important to stay aware. I see the storms out by midnight, and then it's going to be a calmer, cooler night to follow. Temperatures on Halloween are in the 50s.
Lindsay, thank you. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump striking very different tones in this last week of their campaigns.
NBC's Alice Barr is following both campaigns.
And I did this work.
In the final days of the presidential campaign, dueling speeches, former President Trump rallying supporters in Pennsylvania.
I'll protect our jobs. I will protect our borders. I will protect our families.
As Vice President Harris delivered her closing argument.
I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions.
Speaking from the same spot where former President Trump rallied supporters before the January 6th Capitol attack, she warned a second Trump term would bring more serious consequences.
This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
The former president, meanwhile, seized on comments from President Biden, talking by Zoom with a Latino group about a comedian's racist joke at the Trump Madison Square Garden rally Sunday, calling Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right?
President Biden later clarifying that he was referring to the, quote, hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally. The Trump campaign says the comedian's comments don't reflect Mr. Trump's views.
Probably he shouldn't have been there, yeah.
All as Vice President Harris seeks to cast herself as a unifier, arguing that former President Trump calls those who disagree with him the enemy, while aisle,
I'll give them a seat at the table.
contrasting visions in a race down to the wire.
With less than a week to go, there are already questions being raised about the results.
Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George explains what's being done to make sure your vote counts.
With 1 week left in this election, it's worth reminding yourself about the voting rules in your state, as well as the various policy positions of the candidates. It's also worth reminding yourself about the various uncertainties that exist with this election. Some of those looming questions include the time it will take to count ballots. While many states have improved their procedures since 4 years ago, it could still be days before there is a final result. Already, there are close to 200 election-related lawsuits associated with this election, and more are expected as the results are expected to be close. If any state is close, of course, you can look for automatic recounts or requested recounts in many cases. Other uncertainties that could emerge include if a non-swing state suddenly becomes competitive. And then there is a question of whether or not a losing candidate will formally concede. We did not get that 4 years ago with former President Donald Trump. Contributing to the election uncertainties, images out of Washington state and Oregon on Monday when a ballot box was set on fire by a device. This is believed to be an intentional act. Authorities continue to investigate. Ballot box security has been scrutinized and in many states amplified in recent years. As far as the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign, both have assembled teams of lawyers to respond to any uncertainty that may arise. Remember, 1 week out from the election in 2000, for instance, no one was talking about hanging Chads. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
Cass County experiencing short wait times as more people vote early in that county. We'll show you how they're able to keep people moving so well right now.
In Jackson County, voters can expect another day of pretty long wait times to cast their vote. Coming up, we're telling you why the county says it's up to a 2-hour wait at some locations.
We are focusing on that severe weather threat ramping up by the evening hours, specifically after 4, 5, 6 o'clock. We're going to go through the details of what you need to be aware of in your region next.
KSHB 41 Weather is sponsored by Bordner Home and HB 41 News.
Less than a week until Election Day, but early voters in Kansas and Missouri still lining up every day to cast their ballots in time. How to make sure you're prepared this half hour.
I'm Ryan Gamboa for KSHB 41 in Cass County, where voters turned out in numbers. Coming up, I sat down with the county clerk about the process